Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
Welcome back to Marvel Mania. Today we are tackling the theatrical version of Daredevil from 2003.
Because it's the version that was released in theaters, not because it's the better version.
That's right, of course, yeah. And I want to say you were on the commentary maybe for the director's cut. Were you not?
For the director's cut? Maybe. I was... Wait, have you ever done commentary for the theatrical cut?
Yeah, with Vince.
Okay.
And interesting bit of Geekvolution trivia, that was the first or second commentary we did. I forgot. I can't remember if Batman was first or if Daredevil was first.
I am not on the director's cut commentary because you and I independently...
Is that me and Dan and Steve?
Yeah.
I think that's who, yeah.
You and I independently, come together and have a conversation, and I was like, I watched the Daredevil movie not too long ago, and it doesn't hold up.
Doesn't hold up.
And you were like, yo, we did a commentary. It really doesn't hold up. I was like, is it just the TV show? You're like, no, we did the commentary before it. It doesn't hold up.
We did it, if memory serves, the day or two before it drops. Because we were going to do it before that, and we didn't get to it, so we were able to finally get together the day before. And while we were watching it, we were like, wow, we're not enjoying this as much as we did before, and we were finding a lot of issues we hadn't really thought about before. And then the TV show comes out.
Yeah, and there's no reason to ever watch this movie.
I hate to compare them too much, because they are kind of different things.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's a product of its time, and I certainly appreciate that.
But I also
think...
it
was a big influence on me in high school.
Me too. But I think they're different things, but I don't think they knew that at the time. I think they were making the Netflix show when they're making
with the exception of how they're handling Bullseye. But yeah.
Yeah.
Because he is supposed to be as much comic relief as he is.
And I'm not sure if they're handling Bullseye as much as Colin Farrell is at the height of his, because he was hardcore drug guy for a while. And there were all these wild stories about him on set on different movies. I don't know how much of that is actually intentional and is just Colin Farrell being Colin Farrell at that point in time.
It worked. It helps a lot.
Yeah.
As much as they wanted that to be a super serious thing, especially when you have to watch this much less coherent version.
Which I haven't seen in maybe a decade.
And, unfortunately, you won't be seeing today.
What?
Yeah, oh my goodness. Today, Eric and I are going to watch
We're doing
Daredevil.
A blind commentary.
Yes, we're doing a blind commentary. We are going to watch this like Matt Murdock would watch a movie.
As he watched Fight Club.
We're going to see...
I think that might be in the director's cut where he mentions Fight Club.
Oh, that's a really good point. Yeah, he would have to listen to movies. And they don't even really talk about that. They're just he knows Fight Club.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and his extra senses would not help him see a movie any better.
He would see the screen, but I wouldn't think he would see the images projected on the screen.
I don't see how. You can make up some kind of nonsense. I mean, considering the whole raised lettering thing that we do in the Stan Lee books, maybe you could make up something
you
with
can
that
feel
light.
The ink, yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, so today we're gonna do a literal blind commentary, not meaning that we're watching a movie we've never seen before, but meaning that we're going to listen to a movie instead of watching it. This is a really silly novel idea that Eric came up with. So once again,
ask us what we used these for before this.
Blame. What's up? Blame Eric, because I don't know. Blame Eric if you think this is the stupidest thing
we tested
done.
these. You cannot.
We absolutely cannot see through these. Yes. They are double. Okay,
so we both put them on our face like that shows the audience. Look, we can't see anything.
See, can you see my eyes? Yeah. I can't see you. It was 3-year-old logic. Anyway, and you know what? Honestly, I could probably do this like this and be pretty okay because I have really poor eyesight in the first place. How bad are your eyes?
Better than yours.
Well, that's the answer I always get to from anybody that has bad eyesight. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to press play. I'm actually going to put my glasses on and press play. And then I'm going to very quickly put my blindfold on. We're going to listen to this movie and talk about it and see how much of what is going on visually we can remember. Honestly, we could just turn off the screen and just listen to the movie, but it will be more fun to have it there and not be seeing it, and you'll just have to take our word for the fact that it's playing, but we definitely will not be able to see. So anyway, here we go.
Tuichi!
if you want to watch or listen to it with us, you're welcome to perform this amusing experiment along with us. You can get it to timestamp 0 and on your DVD, your Blu-ray, however you want to watch it. Make sure that you're watching the theatrical version and not the director's cut, which is the only time I'll ever say make sure you're watching this version, besides the other time we did a commentary on this, me and Vince. And if you want to listen to a commentary with me and somebody else...
There will be no jokes about what is on screen going on.
From albeit many years ago, but where we're actually discussing what you're seeing and not just what you're hearing. Of course, some of this we'll remember, and we'll talk about what we're seeing, or what we once did see.
What we're picturing in our minds.
You can go back and watch the other commentary. Without further ado,
it's gonna be real rough taking these off after.
Yeah, and it's kind of bright in this room, so that'll be amusing. All right, here we go. Everybody, I forgot what order to do things in. Everybody, please press play. I didn't even have to tell you. You wouldn't know what I was doing. Everybody, please press play right now.
I didn't have to look at the screen.
Oh, these are covering my ears, so it's not as loud as it was earlier.
I put it over. I put it up over my ears.
Well, that's easier for you to do because you have earbuds.
I
have I probably look much sillier than you.
Reason number 36 that earbuds are better.
I thought you were going to say that this was a stupid idea.
You could real quick take your earbuds, your headphones off, put it on, and then put your headphones on. Just a thought.
Well, I can't get them around my headphones though.
Yeah, that's why I should take your headphones off, put it around your head, and then put the headphones on.
Well, yeah, but you mean like and not covering my ears? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I could do that, but
okay. Well,
it's on.
It's fine.
I can probably hear it okay. Anyway.
Do we just hit through all the credits?
Yeah.
Is that how it opens?
Yeah.
Oh no.
That's how. Well, here's the thing. I can't remember if it's all the credits first.
I think it's all the credits
or
first.
If it's the...
I thought we had the cold open.
Yeah, that's what I was going to... I thought it was the teaser that's actually the end of the movie.
He might be on top of the building right now, on top of the church, but I don't think so. Maybe that's how the director's cut opens, and that's not how the theatrical cut opens?
No, I think they open the same way. I can't remember now. This is going to be really interesting.
Yeah, so this almost made it onto your top 10 superhero movie intros. And then we watched it, we're like...
And all I would have had to say was...
Braille that becomes letters.
It's kind of neat that it goes to Braille, and I tried to come up with something to say about the buildings, and they're disappearing and all that. Yeah, this is definitely the credits.
Yep.
That whoosh sound you're hearing is the
letters coming out.
Letters forming from the Braille, if memory serves.
If there wasn't so much glass here,
whoosh.
I'd suggest we have a blind fight after the commentary.
Yeah, we could have
for added value.
Daredevil Fight Club. But we have to shoot it in a hallway, don't you think?
Yeah. One continuous shot.
I don't think we should do this with the Daredevil Netflix series.
No.
I think we should not do that.
That would be a bad idea.
Have you ever sat in a chair for 2 hours blindfolded? I haven't.
Neither have I. I mean, I'm willing to disclose.
Yeah. I can't remember the last time I was kidnapped and thrown in a van, but I don't think it was as long as this is going to be. And that one time I was in a trunk, it also wasn't.
Well,
quite that
my
long.
Adventures in Vietnam took me to some very strange places.
We only went like a couple of miles.
Such a stupid idea for a video.
People are learning a lot more about us, right? I know there was a rat there. I remember that.
Yep. We're getting flashes of what
I really
see
thought,
in this movie.
Knowing this, seeing this as many times as I did, I would kind of start to picture the movie.
So
and I am a little bit here and there.
So how do you feel about
we gotta talk about this movie?
Opening the film like this?
I'm of two minds about it with this particular movie.
Do you think it's necessary?
I don't, but that's talking about it in hindsight. Because the problem is, you're opening a movie with a little kid,
right?
Or a 12-year-old, and you might lose the audience that's excited to see a movie.
But you can open with voiceover narration. You don't need this. You don't need this whole scene that you're going to see again later.
Well, no, that's certainly true, and a lot of the time that's kind of a cheat. And I always talk about this with comics. It is a comic book thing that we do a lot. I get real sick of it.
And Matt Murdock is an internal narrator.
It's this unnecessary in medias res thing.
I wonder if that'll be an issue for you with the Bendis run.
Does he do it a lot there?
Oh, he jumps. He's
but one of the
he's
times,
real. He's real non.
Well, I'm not.
I can't
I'm not
say
anti
the word
non.
because you're gonna.
I know. I'm not anti non-linear.
Linear.
I just
not linear.
Yeah, I'm not anti non-linear necessarily because sometimes it ends up making more sense to tell a story out of order like that because when you know a certain thing, it informs a thing that happens later and informs something that you're seeing from earlier, and it's kind of it's just storytelling, right?
Yeah.
You know, when you think about like a person telling you a story, like sitting in front of you, sometimes it's more compelling and provocative. And not always in a real gimmicky way, if a person says, okay, you need to know this part before I can tell you about this part.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you think about it that way, but a lot of the time it's just a formulaic structure. It's like, okay, we need to show you the guy in costume so that you'll know that, oh yes, some action is going to happen.
Costume, yeah.
And it's going to be really exciting. And this is trying to play it like, okay, he gets in really bad shape, and that should be exciting for Daredevil fans right out the gate, I'm sure. Mark, what's his name? Johnson. Mark Steven Johnson. No. He's thinking when he's making this, where he's like, Daredevil is a character that gets to his lowest point before he has to bring himself back up, and you want to see him in real bad shape like that, and so we open the movie like that. And also we try to make it look like a comic book cover.
There's,
But, yeah, I'm with you. It does feel kind of unnecessary for the story, but I get why they did it. It's a little too commercial.
See, I think you can open here. Like, just with this narration. I don't know what's on screen at this exact second, but I feel like you can open the movie, establishing shot of New York, this narration.
Well, that narration is...
It starts when he's, like, staring up, right?
Yeah. I mean, you see him, like, lying on the sidewalk dying.
Yeah, I would just start
or thinking he's dying.
I would start with that narration, but just, establishing shot of New York City.
Yeah, I do sort of like your... At least it's in the moment. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, your eyes, or your life flashes before your eyes.
Yeah.
And so he's remembering
Except
all of this.
he immediately just stands up and is like, alright, I guess gotta fight again.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't end up really informing that part of the story at all. It's not like, oh, I remember my whole life now, and that, like, informs what I'm gonna do next.
Mm-hmm. Unless there is an audience watching. No,
if we really are engaged by what's going on here, I mean, you can play it not too typical, and I think the origin flashback stuff at the beginning works okay.
I do too.
And I like that it's not shoehorned throughout the movie.
There's a lot of Man Without Fear here. They do the Spider-Man animated series from the '90s thing where Stick is not even mentioned.
Yeah.
And in the way that they show the scenes, or maybe no, I think Stick is mentioned in Spider-Man the animated series. I think I'm wrong because I remember thinking Whistler and Stick were basically the same character.
And then it's weird that they put him in Electra's movie.
Yeah, but he's Terrence Stamp, who would have been a great choice for a Stick.
I mean, it was. We just didn't do anything with him.
But I was saying something.
I'm sorry.
About... Oh, we see him, like, learn by himself. Like, it's not even ambiguous that you could fill it in with later sequels. Like, he is teaching himself how to do all this cool stuff.
Yeah, do you buy that? Does that work okay?
No. I did at the time. I don't now.
I did too.
Going back and like looking at like him sliding down the pole, like I don't buy that he could do that. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's not a realistic world.
No.
I mean, it's a real height in New York. Well, that's a word we use a lot, but we're talking about superhero stuff, so.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Well, it's still Hell's Kitchen.
Yep. Yeah, and so that immediately makes it feel.
Although I think they actually name drop Clinton in this. Where he says, like, they're calling it Clinton, but I can't call it that.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's somewhere in this movie.
It was, well, yeah, it's I think it's at the beginning. Hell, he in his voiceover, Hell's Kitchen. Mm-hmm. They call it this now. I don't remember it being Clinton. Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's what it is. It's
okay.
Clinton. There's a podcast called How Did This Get Made?
I can confirm it with subtitles, but...
Which is an okay podcast.
By the way, we did not turn on the subtitles.
But they have an episode about this movie where they get Ed Brubaker to come on and talk about it.
Oh, weird.
It's real fun.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because obviously he has a lengthy run on Daredevil following Bendis. Which isn't as good, but... I've reread some of it, and it's better than I remembered it being. And that opening arc of Brubaker's run is just great.
So am I wrong about this? I feel like zooming. Maybe we still do this a lot. I feel like the whole zooming in inside somebody's like body or mind or something when something strange or like supernatural or messed up happens to them is something we were doing a lot circa this period.
Yeah. Well, my guess,
we have
my
the
guess
CG
would be
to kinda do
yeah,
this
we
now.
finally have the technology. Wow, this just runs through this.
Yeah.
Like, not having seen this since the director's cut, we just ran to him being blind.
Oh yeah, that's right. This scene, I've talked about this before. I loved in the theater. The sound design in this is amazing, and it like listening to it with headphones or watching it without surround sound does not do it justice. The way all these sounds bounce around, of all the stuff.
Oh, we don't get one of my
hearing
favorite scenes
outside.
in this movie,
What's that?
which is him putting his dad in bed,
Yeah,
which is a great scene.
and they cut a lot of the scene after this where he's talking to his dad.
Oh, really?
It's extended. It goes on longer. Yeah.
Oh, it's been so long since I saw it.
I'll try not to make too much of this. And this is missing, and this is missing.
I'm having trouble not doing it just because I'm used to that version. And one of the things that I do remember is that almost all of Foggy's jokes are alternate takes. So a lot of these jokes are going to be jokes I haven't heard in a long time.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's right. Well, and this ends up feeling like, if you're used to the director's cut over this cut, which now I've probably seen as many times or more times. Mm-hmm. Because I watched this movie a bunch of times. Yeah, make fun of me, but like I said, when I was 18, real impressionable, this movie had an impact on me. And I watched it a lot, and I watched it probably, 15, 20 times before I even knew there was a director's cut.
I've watched this.
I found that at Walmart.
I watched this like 2 or 3 times, and then my uncle was like, "There's this director's cut," and I watched it. I was like, "This is amazing," and then I bought the director's cut. I find it interesting that this movie did have such a big impact on you, and you don't become a Daredevil comic fan. Like, that's not one of the characters you collect. It's not like it's not like you've read a lot of Daredevil. I mean,
that's right.
You have more now, but
I knew it more from appearances in Spider-Man than anything.
oh, it's the mid-2000s. Which is funny because this scene is supposed to take place like 20 years ago.
Yeah, and yet you're right. We're highlighting it with music from the period. Once again, make fun of me if you want to. This is a soundtrack I always really liked.
I've never listened to this outside of the movie, not like I did with the Spider-Man 2 soundtracks.
It's one I go back to still. And a lot of people don't like it. And
well, you like Evanescence, and that helps a lot.
I do. I like this. And I don't know. I was really into this era's rock because I was the right age for it. And so it's a thing I can't help but go back to.
Wake me up. I can't wake up.
Puts me in a particular mood. This is a soundtrack I often turn on if I'm listening to music at night and it's raining.
Do you do it? Do you do it real loud so you can like see everything in the room?
Yeah, it helps a lot. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty sure he's doing this right now. You can't see me. He's doing the punch bag.
Wait, did you say you can't see me?
Yeah, I said you can't see me.
No, they can see you.
No, you can't see me.
Well, I can't see.
Yeah,
okay.
I started making movements.
I thought you were talking to the camera. Well, you can't see me right now. No, Eric, they can. They can because we're video recording this.
I'm talking to whoever's listening.
You see? So,
Yeah, see? He trained his body to senses. Cute sense of touch.
Yeah, no, I mean, I remember that. There's definitely no way to mistake that he trained himself.
So, I think in the hands of another director, I think Ben Affleck is good in this movie.
I do too.
I think in the hands of another director, he could have been great.
Too. People turning this video off, but
I've
always agreed with that.
Yeah,
I mean, I think if you see the director's cut and you haven't seen this, you'll realize that they cut some of his best stuff out. Mm-hmm. Because we cut all the stuff where he's actually being Matt Murdock, and I think that helps a lot.
I've always hated this scene.
Where he beats up the bullies in the alley?
No. I mean, that's a little over stylized, or over choreographed, I guess.
Yeah,
no,
there's a lot.
I don't buy that the like local bullies would continue beating you up if you were blind.
They're real mean. I don't know where.
I don't know
from.
anyone that's that mean.
See, it's the streets, man. You just don't understand. You haven't been on the streets.
I don't
either. I have no idea. There could be people, and I'm sure, case by case.
You know why we're going to make a great Daredevil movie? Because we're from the streets.
No one knows what you're talking about.
There's like 3 people. There's 3 people that also used to be big Kevin Smith fans. And it should be noted in the collection of Guardian Devil that I have. I don't know if it's in your collection. Ben Affleck does the introduction or the foreword.
That's interesting. Does he say anything about this movie?
I think he says that they're gearing up to do it.
Oh, it's before it even comes out.
I think so.
Okay.
But he talks a lot about how much he loved Frank Miller's Daredevil and how it was the first time reading comics he realized that somebody actually wrote them. Yeah. It's a really good introduction. And he's
a good writer.
And
I'd love to read his introductions.
And he said at some point...
well, I wonder if he's ever written any other ones for anything else.
I don't know.
Because I know he likes comics.
He said at some point after this movie, he says that he would like to do Guardian Devil as the sequel. Which I don't know if Guardian Devil actually makes sense as the sequel to this, given that it's riffing so much on a previous comic, specifically Kraven's Hunt and Born Again.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to rework it.
Yeah.
Just take the skeleton of the story.
But the skeleton of the story is Born Again, and...
Yeah.
I feel like you would just do Born Again.
Well, and for a long time there was talk about a reboot that would have been Born Again.
Well, and then there's the one that almost gets made right before Marvel gets the rights back.
I think that was it, wasn't it?
No.
Oh, okay.
Mark Steven Johnson said he wanted to do Born Again, but the villain would have been Mr. Fear. Now, as he says that, there is an arc in Brubaker's Daredevil running with Mr. Fear as the villain. So, sometimes I think Mark Steven Johnson just says things.
Yeah.
But,
maybe so.
But, no, right before Marvel Studios gets the rights back to Daredevil, there's a director, I forget what his name is, I forget, like, what films he's done. There's a director that's looking into doing it, and he's writing, he said his would be a period piece 70s film, which would have been really cool.
Yeah. I forgot about that. I had heard that. That would have been really neat.
I'm really glad we got the Netflix series, but I kind of also want to see what that movie will look like.
Yeah, because we're spoiled that we get more of that.
Yeah.
Like, I know some folks don't like the second season very much, but just the fact that that is an ongoing series, that's so cool.
See, I wouldn't say I don't like it very much. I just don't like it as much.
Well, some people really disliked it compared to the first season. I actually like it quite a bit. I think it's got issues, toward the end. But
I think it's got third act syndrome.
Me too.
But I think it's a solid season. But this movie, it's real hard to talk about this without
I can do it. I know what's going on right now.
Well, I do too, but like it's hard for me to not just talk about Daredevil in general.
There's a car driving, Eric. I can tell because there's an engine. I can hear it.
Is this the Rose thing?
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm trying to remember now. It's been a while since I read Man Without Fear.
It's a real haunting.
I reread Man Without Fear right before the Netflix show comes out. That's a thing from Man Without Fear.
He can't see his dad. I can't see him.
Yeah. I can't see you, Cap.
I can't see
you.
You didn't just throw a rose in my feet, did you?
Not that you can see.
That's a special kind of creepy.
But the rose thing I want to say comes from Man Without Fear, not as a calling card for his death, but I want to say that there's like some kind of visual thing with. Which, have you ever read Man Without Fear?
I don't think I have.
It is my favorite John Romita Jr. work, and I think it's the superior like year one that Frank Miller does. I think it's better than year one.
I wish I knew Daredevil a little better than I did.
Well, it would be great if Daredevil wasn't the one thing that I really cared about that got hit the worst by all that water. I kind of have to rebuy Daredevil now. I'd really like to do Bendis' run with you.
Well, I've got all that.
I know you do, and I've
got most of Miller in issues.
I have all of Miller in trade still. Those survived.
That's good.
Well, except for, Born Again is lent out, and at some point I'm hoping to get that back.
I've got that.
And
also, it's weird. I have a lot of the major Daredevil stuff, and I haven't read it. And I've read Kevin Smith.
Right, Guardian Devil. Which I remember liking quite a bit, but it's been maybe a decade.
It's great. I think it'd be really cool if they saved Mysterio for the Netflix show.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
That won't happen, but I think that would be really cool.
Well, I don't think they have to save him, because if you remember, in the... Matt Murdock doesn't listen to this music. Why
not?
Because Matt Murdock doesn't listen to this music.
Okay. But this Matt Murdock is a little more tortured than your average Matt Murdock.
He also
right?
has stylized hair.
I mean, am I wrong about that?
Wait, this Matt Murdock is more tortured?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Tortured is the wrong word. Is he more broody? Because, I mean, like...
I don't know.
You don't think so? Okay.
No.
Okay.
Well, actually, one of the things I want to say about Ben Affleck in this role...
Matt is often kind of like, he'll act kind of positive, but he's like, he's always, making mistakes and bad things are happening to him.
That's mostly the way it's run.
I feel like I've read other stuff that's like that, but...
I don't know. There's a little bit of that in the Bendis run, but it's in this weird, really weird, dark place where he's in denial. And I mean, Miller's is a little bit more quippy, but that's because it was transitioning out of that quippy stuff to begin with.
Well, that's true, yeah. I figured the Netflix show was borrowing mostly from Bendis.
It is. It's borrowing a lot from Bendis. I mean, there's definitely some Miller there as well, but it's borrowing a lot. And the actor said that. He said, this is what we're basing this on, is the Bendis stuff. Which is my favorite run of all time in comics.
Because he's real dry-witted.
I'm not saying there's not funny stuff, but one of the things that
he has a sense of humor, but he's real understated about it.
I think makes Ben Affleck such a good choice for this role is... Ben Affleck has an inherent likability to him. He just has this really human aspect to him. He just seems like a guy.
Yeah.
And you need that for Matt Murdock. Matt Murdock is a really tragic, broken person, but he's inherently just kind of likable. And I think that's something that there's a humanity that Ben Affleck really brings to it just by him being himself. And obviously the Netflix show has it too. So this trial makes no sense, which is something that Ed Brubaker points out in that podcast, but I can't unsee it, which is...
Even though you can't see it?
He is acting as both defense and prosecution, and I have no idea what's going on in this.
Boy, it's really hard not to talk about the director's cut. Because that part doesn't make a lot of sense. The fact that he's apparently playing both sides there. But
we're suiting up because we're post Schumacher.
That's right. Mm-hmm. We're all about that still.
I don't think we're seeing the secret room yet, but that's a thing that is really comic booky in a way of I've never read comic books kind of comic booky. That is a TV superhero trope that they've all got a secret headquarters with a secret trigger, and Matt Murdock has that despite being a lawyer that works for Fish.
And despite being the only person that knows he's Daredevil.
Yeah.
Someone would have to build you that.
Yep.
I don't care how heightened your other senses are, I don't think you could put that together. And even if you could, how would you get the materials without anybody knowing about it? And I don't know.
Yeah.
And, of course, I would love an explanation about where the costume came from and why it's the color it is and all of that. Well, that's true. But again, somebody made him that.
That would be a really funny explanation for his original costume.
I can't remember if Daredevil Yellow does that or not.
Okay, I've never read Daredevil Yellow.
I can't remember.
There's another...
I always assumed something did that, or I feel like somebody told me something did that.
I've not read Daredevil Yellow or that Daredevil Season 1. Just because I don't need anything other than Man Without Fear for the origin. I just kind of don't care.
Yeah.
I think we're in a loud room, perhaps a bar.
We're in Jody's bar.
We are in Jody's bar, which is a comic book thing that comes from Frank Miller.
And another scene that's cut way, way, way down.
Yeah,
and it's one of the only things that makes that director's cut rated R.
Yeah, because some girls lift up their shirt.
Yep.
And it's side boob. Now that's PG-13 in certain ways. I've seen things like that in PG-13 movies at this point.
The first time I saw it, I remembered it wrong. I thought there was more nudity, and then the second time I saw it, I was like, this still could have been PG-13. I'm with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie, when you compare it to the director's cut, is a music video.
Mm.
It is that movie's greatest hits, except it's not because they cut some of the best stuff out of it.
Well, I think Jody could stay trimmed.
Totally incoherent.
It's really long in the director's cut.
It is too long there. I agree with that.
I'm pretty sure he's punching some guys.
And the whole ceiling fan thing.
Yeah.
And the bullets are flying through the air, and you see it from his
I
POV.
really like when we look up in the balcony and we see him. That's really comic book, and it's lit great. I think. I remember
Mark
it
Steven
being
Johnson
lit
is probably one of the most hit or miss directors I've ever seen.
This is going to be the first of these commentaries where I will not comment on whether or not the special effects hold up.
Because you can't see them?
I can't tell you. I assume they all do. That's not true. There's a scene in this.
I mean, some of it's really good, and like, I don't know, a lot of the CG is not great, but like, I like the. We're just talking about special effects in general. I like all the Matt Murdock POV stuff.
I love that.
I think it's fine.
There's a shot in this. I don't remember exactly where it is, but it's one of the worst shots I've ever seen. Where we're in an alleyway and a CGI Matt Murdock jumps to the wall of one building, to the wall of the other building, to the wall of the first building, and then like onto a roof, and it looks awful.
Yeah, it looks like Jell-O.
And also, this movie can't figure out exactly like its level of reality. I think sometimes we're doing things that like are really comic booky and superhuman, and sometimes
they're trying to be more grounded.
Yeah. It's actually I remember this from years ago. It was one of my mom's big complaints with this movie was, okay, I get that he has superpowers because of like the explanation for why he has superpowers. Why can she jump from rooftop to rooftop?
Yeah, that's fair. Because she has training, Eric.
Yeah.
From Stick, apparently.
Well, to be fair, in the comics, Frank Miller reveals, and everyone's ignored this since, but Frank Miller reveals that Matt Murdock does not have superpowers. That anyone can have the abilities that Daredevil has if they train. It's just what he went through made it easier for him to get to that level.
Oh, so it's not the radiation gave him super senses?
Yeah, in Miller, the radiation heightened his senses, and he had to learn this to be able to, like, keep functioning. And the radiation goes away. By the time we're in Miller, he gets hit with radiation again, the senses get re-heightened again, and he has to relearn. But it's said that it's a thing that... It's very like Zatoichi, Kung Fu kind of a thing, samurai... We all have the capacity to do this.
But you just have to work at it.
You just have to work at it.
You have to center yourself and be disciplined.
Mm-hmm.
See, some of that's quibbling over semantics a little bit, where I would consider your senses being as heightened as his are supposed to be kind of a superpower.
Mm-hmm. But
if that can go away,
but they're trained, they're learned. We all can do it.
Interesting.
It's getting itchy. I'm trying to scratch my eye.
I was just noticing that. Yeah.
You know, that's not something superheroes have to complain about. We've now lived the Matt Murdock life.
That's right.
And I don't buy Netflix Daredevil. He'd be scratching his face.
Yeah. Specifically that Daredevil, because I feel like that material would feel like this material.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I agree.
Here in about an hour, Eric's going to find himself, like, just cutting slits in this and then trying to miss his eyes.
Yep.
He's going to be like... That's not heaven.
That's the C-Train! Oh, does he yell Casada?
No, he says he yells, "I'll kill you, I'll kill you."
No, it must be the director's cut. There's a point where he yells Casada, and because everyone in this movie that's not a comic book character is a comic book writer or artist.
He is Casada, though.
Yeah, he is Casada. No, I mean Daredevil.
Oh, Daredevil yells it.
There's a point when he's chasing him down, and he goes Casada.
Yeah.
I used to live by a street named Casada. And I used to yell it every time I drove.
Oh, really? That's awesome. You know, everybody's got to be. Do you find that kind of silly?
I don't. Here's the thing. When I first saw this movie, I thought it was the coolest thing.
Well, I only recognized a couple of them, so I didn't mind it. So I didn't even really notice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, like it didn't take me out of the movie.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
Later on, I was like, oh wait, every name is something I've heard of.
Yeah. I like it. But I could see where people wouldn't. I mean, this is also a thing that we do in Batman comics. Every street in Gotham is named after somebody that's worked on Batman.
I can't watch this movie without wondering.
Well, no, you can't.
What the history of it would, like how people remember it if the director's cut had been put in theaters, or if something like it had been.
It's way better remembered.
That movie would have been trimmed down.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, I think it would have been remembered better. And then years later, people would look back at it and think it didn't hold up as well.
It'd be like 89.
Yeah, I think so too. Maybe not as well remembered as
No, it wouldn't be as well remembered as 89. But in the same way, like, people went back to 89 like, oh,
but
this
people
doesn't really hold
it wouldn't
up.
be like Ghost Rider. It would be like, oh my god, that movie.
Also directed by Mark Steven Johnson.
I know.
Oh man, for Ghost Rider, we should light our heads on fire.
Yeah, sure. We'll work on that. That will probably take longer to figure out than what we're going to use for blindfolds.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we said this with some of the other videos, but more than any other video, you really should be watching the movie with this commentary.
Yeah, definitely, most certainly. But yeah,
I guess the upside of this being trimmed down is that we only have to be like this for like 90 minutes.
yeah, it's just an incoherent cut. So much of it, like, it's clear that
This is Karen Page.
we're way too. What's that now?
On the answering machine, she says she's no, it's not Karen Page.
It's not.
It's somebody else.
Because
Oh,
Karen Page is actually in the movie.
No, I forgot.
And is integral to the plot in the director's cut.
Yeah, no.
I mean, she's kind of a plot device, but she at least matters in some way.
It's not Karen Page. It's maybe Heather something. She is a girlfriend from the comics. It is a reference.
She's the one who
I believe she's
comes up with flipping over
Yeah.
the MOM to make it the WOW.
I believe she is the girlfriend from Miller's Run, which is this real weird thing. I haven't read those issues in a long time, but there's a point where Foggy and some other characters that are hanging out with Matt at that point think Matt is a bad influence on this girl, and he's destroying her life, and they essentially engineer their breakup to get Matt away from her. If that's the character I'm thinking of. So yeah, that's a thing.
That's some real heavy comic book soap opera there.
Yeah. Miller's Daredevil's so good.
I'm not in love with this orchestral soundtrack. As you know, as little of it as we get. I like the Daredevil theme.
Mm-hmm.
The da na I think it's quite good.
I like their touching like 4-note thing.
Yeah, that's good too. But a lot of the rest of it just feels kind of generic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, both of those themes are real sad.
You know what song from this movie I would listen to a lot when I was a teenager?
What's that?
Man Without Fear.
Yeah.
I'm not like a Rob Zombie. I know I like that song. I liked that song. I'm sure it's not very good.
Yeah,
So this is where Coolio shows up, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
Okay.
Or is that earlier?
No,
I think that's even a little bit
you might be
earlier,
right.
maybe. And these scenes are completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the scenes in the director's cut are a little bit better.
I forgot he knew in this
okay.
version.
Yeah. But remember, they have completely alternate versions of these scenes.
Yeah, because the priest doesn't know in the director's cut.
Is that what it is? Is he doesn't even know?
Maybe he suspects, but not like here.
Yeah, where he just knows. No,
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, and they changed it for whatever reason for the theatrical cut so that it's in confession.
Mm-hmm.
It's at least one of those scenes, if not both of them, in the director's cut is out in the church.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cool, like urban atmospheric movie when it's working.
It's Johnny Favs.
He looks real young here, Eric.
Yeah, he's. Oh man, I can't. He's so thin.
Do you have a picture? Let me see it.
Oh, it says Bob Kane, right? Because Bob Kane created Daredevil.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it says Bob Kane.
He took credit for it anyway.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, he didn't create anything, but
You just take every opportunity you can.
what to talk about Bob Kane?
It's a dog on Bob Kane. Yeah.
Bob Kane is one of the most unartistic, worst people to ever work in comics. I don't like him. I can't remember the rest of the line from Spider-Man, but that's what I was going for. He's a freak, and I don't like him, or something like that.
That's right. That's what it is. It's kind of interesting how Favreau and Affleck worked on these scenes and how Favreau directed Iron Man, right?
Mm-hmm. Because these scenes are very clearly largely improv.
Yeah, they are largely improv. And they apparently just kind of went on and on and on. And they would use... And Johnson would just use what he thought worked.
This is where I learned the term moral vacuum.
and Eric, you were completely vacuumless.
This is the only time I've ever thought Jennifer Gardner was like really attractive is this one shot where she walks in.
Which tells you how different our tastes in women are, because I always thought she was remarkably attractive.
Oh, interesting. I don't think she's an ugly woman, but like she's not exactly my type.
But she was always.
But in this one scene where she walks in, I think she looks really hot.
And see, she was one of my high school crushes.
Oh, interesting. And you didn't watch Alias?
No, I didn't know about it until it was over. Or I didn't really know what it was until it was over. I will finally at some point sit down and watch some of that.
Get ready for the second half of it.
But I've never done it.
I don't know if you know that show completely like reboots and becomes a different show in a different genre halfway through.
I have heard that, and there's something about a weird plot device.
I think it becomes supernatural in the second half. I've never seen it, so I don't know, but I think it's...
Yeah, there's something about like a box or something that you're waiting to find out what it is, and I might be thinking of some other shit.
I love
Somebody
that joke,
told me about that.
and it took me like a number of viewings before I actually got that, like really got that joke.
What joke?
She goes, friend of yours? He goes, I've never seen him.
Yeah.
It's a real obvious joke, but it took me a little bit to get it.
Yeah, there's some real typical romantic comedy stuff going on in the scene.
There's some real typical romantic comedy stuff going on in this
movie. Yeah, but they obviously have... I say obviously. I think they have a chemistry that you can't deny, and of course, they were married for a number of years.
They just recently separated, I believe.
2 or 3 years ago.
Like last year.
No, I think it was earlier than that. It's been a little while. But anyway. And we're about to get to the infamous...
Is it great or is it really great?
On the playground. Are you making fun of the commentary?
I'm making fun of Aviara in the commentary. Where Mark Steven Johnson says, there's been some controversy about the scene, and Aviara says, he says, what is the controversy? That it's great or that it's really great?
I'm like, don't do that. You have to acknowledge that this is kind of goofy. Even if you like it and you're glad it's there, it's... I mean, I'm just saying, like, those guys...
Well, and... See, this... Here's what I will give this scene. If this was a Chinese movie, everyone would run with it. Being a post-Matrix movie and post-Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon movie, we're having a lot more straight-up just martial arts in our films.
Yeah. That's a good point. And
this fight scene could totally happen in a Chinese like kung fu film, in a cop film. It could happen. And
I think it's much harder to appreciate with blindfolds.
They have different comic sensibilities than we do, and they would be more okay with it. Of course, their films are also more tonally all over the place than ours tend to be.
Yeah, the conventions are different.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, is it that this is going too far even for this material?
Honestly, I don't think it's the fight. I mean, it's a little bit the fight. But I don't know if it's the fight as much as the kids watching and cheering.
It always struck me as a little bit too cartoony that he throws his stick and takes his jacket off and just stands there.
Yes, but I'm always impressed with the coordination of them taking their jacket off at the exact same time.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think that's impressive, just physically. Because it matches, like, it's like a video game. Like, it matches perfectly. I mean, I think. I can't tell you. I remember it being that way.
They cut the end of this scene down way, way hard.
Oh, yeah!
Where he learns more about her.
Why do we even complain about this scene? It's not even in this movie.
It's just the end of it. Like, it's already over. There's another 30 seconds to a minute after that. I'm an outlaw.
You know what this song's telling me?
This is one of the only songs
he's an outlaw
in the movie that is not on the soundtrack for whatever reason.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm not sure why, but it's not there. And then his big introduction is taken out of the movie.
Yeah.
Where he kills that guy with his bare hand. Somebody always does.
Are we doing this now?
I can't help it. I love him. I think it's this scene, or maybe it's directly after this. I can't watch this movie without talking about this. That stupid matte painting.
Oh, yes.
It's just... in the theater, I didn't know if it was supposed to be a picture of New York, or if we were supposed to be looking at New York. I couldn't tell.
I was
and
like,
then
is he in a newsroom?
Johnson is like, I saw this later, and we really shouldn't have kept it. I'm like, yeah, no kidding.
No, it looks like the back of like a late night talk show. It looks like the back of Letterman.
But it's even worse than that because it's got this creepy, this really messed up like crease going right through it.
Mm.
Like, it doesn't look believable in the first place, and the color is off, but then it's got this like crease. Anyway.
It'd be real fun to talk about if we could see.
It's the only thing I know how to... Oh, no, I know. I'm visualizing it. I know just what it looks like.
So, I have this with both Bullseye and Kingpin in this. I like both of the actors. I think they do a good job. Neither of them are the characters that I have read. Like, he's not really the Kingpin, and he's not really Bullseye.
Yeah, but Kingpin could have been a really interesting reinvention.
Mm-hmm.
If we'd just done a little bit more with who he is and where he came from.
Yeah.
Whereas Bullseye is just a, like... That's not a reinvention so much as, like, kind of a watered-down version.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. What, you talking about Bullseye?
Yeah.
Bullseye's just a completely different take on the character. I mean, like, Bullseye's crazy, but he's not crazy like that.
Yeah. Well, again, we don't know anything about him. We have no idea where he came from, how he got this way.
Well, I mean, that's in the comics, too. Bullseye doesn't have an origin story. Except we know he played baseball for a little while.
But don't they, like, kind of play that up? Like, there's, like...
Well, yeah, I don't think we even... I think he's a Joker kind of thing, where, like... I think the name he most commonly goes by is, like, something Poindexter, but we don't even know if that's his real name.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I think they could have played that up a little bit more here, but the problem is we don't spend a lot of time drawing a lot of characters in this.
And this is the one really negative influence that this movie has on Bendis' run.
Oh, this song isn't on the soundtrack either.
Is because I like this song. I think I only know it from this scene. The idea of like Irish rap is funny to me. But because he has the Bullseye thing, Bendis gives it to him in the comics.
Yeah.
It's a real big dramatic scene, but I also don't like how... I love Bendis' Daredevil. He cannot write Bullseye.
Really?
His Bullseye is awful.
Do you like just inherently not like the tattoo thing? Or it being etched in his forehead or whatever?
It makes more sense in Bendis' run where it's carved into his head. Well,
I mean, it looks like it's carved in his head here.
But how do you get it? Like, where's it come from?
Certainly. I don't know.
It, like, the way it's played in this movie, it really feels like it's supposed to be a tattoo. I don't know, it's weird.
Like, he has to have a bullseye on him somewhere, and he's not going to wear that mask.
Yeah. And Bullseye's costume seems like something that should be really easy to translate to screen. I actually think, his coat...
That color scheme, though, I'm not sure that...
Black and white?
That it has that much white in it.
Yeah.
I don't feel like an assassin would have that much white on the guy. I mean, like obviously he does that because he's real arrogant and full of himself and thinks that not only can he hit anything, but he's not going to get hit.
And he was created in the 70s. It's actually...
I'm just trying to come up with a believable explanation.
It's actually worse when he's created. The white actually shrinks as it goes along.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you look at the early issues with Bullseye, the bullseye in his head actually goes down to like where his eye, past his eyes. Like it's to the bottom of the mask. I want to say Miller shrinks it, but it's possible that it was shrunk before then. I've always thought that this costume that he has here, you could just throw a mask on it and throw the white like bullseye symbol that's on his shoulders around the coat, and it would look pretty cool.
If I made a top 10 list of most
best kills,
amusing scenes in superhero movies, I think this would be in it. But yeah, best kills, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good too. Yeah.
It's
real funny, and I think the old lady in the scene is really good.
And I've seen her in other things.
Have you really?
Oh yeah, always the same character.
She's real. She's real committed though. She gets that scene. I think that's really funny.
This scene is never far from my mind. I get stuck in conversations like this at work and in other places where I'm thinking of this. I have this like...
We're like, just stop talking.
Yeah.
I don't
somebody
care.
Give me a peanut.
Give me a peanut! Yeah, Bullseye is the reason that a lot of airlines don't serve peanuts on planes.
So... Well, none of them do.
That's not true.
Is it? Is it not?
No, because I was on one recently that did.
Oh, weird.
I thought that.
I was under the impression that none of them did.
That's what I thought. And then I went on an airplane and they served peanuts.
So, in this version, we have 2 introductory scenes to Bullseye back to back. We have him in the bar and then on the plane. We established that character twice.
It's worse than the director's cut.
We established him 3 times in the director's cut.
Yeah, I don't think the plane is establishing, necessarily. I think it's showing, like, well, yeah, it's just a gag. I mean, I guess you could have introduced him with that scene. But it doesn't feel like it's like, here's this character.
And this scene's in a completely different place. This is one of the biggest changes.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous. It makes no sense.
I'm not the bad guy.
Yeah.
Matt and I used to just look at each other and really solemnly just say, I'm not the bad guy.
No, the thing that drives me crazy about this, again, I've talked about this before, but you know about this, right? That this guy that he's beating up right now is the guy that will later be yelling across the street when he's with Electra.
Oh.
It's the same character?
Right, because it's the same scene.
Because in the director's cut, he leaves to go do this instead of going off to have sex with Electra.
Right, they go have sex.
Yeah. Well, they have to do that, of course. You got to get that in there somewhere.
This is the only time.
It is so... like their relationship works so much better, and it's so much more tragic if they don't get to have more of a relationship.
This is the only time
they don't get physical.
In the... The R-rated director's cut on DVD
that's great.
Could say the less steamy with less sex scenes.
Isn't that crazy?
Version of the film.
Yeah. It's R-rated and is actually dictionary definition more mature.
Less skin.
Like more actually mature.
Yeah.
Like the characters are more mature.
Yep.
They're more believable and they act like, you know, more.
I mean, we are at a point in time where you could probably say a plot is mature.
Well, yeah. I mean that the director's cut already is more mature than this movie because this movie is a cartoon compared to it.
I can't believe how fast we're rocketing through this movie.
Yeah. And I'm glad too because this blindfold thing is crazy.
Yeah.
Also, this scene makes no sense.
Nope.
If it's not placed in the right place.
Yep.
There's no reason he would just suddenly, right away, be like, I don't have a shot with Electra, I shouldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could...
I can relate more to Matt Murdock in this scene. I don't know what their office looks like. Foggy, just explain to me what it looks like.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that.
He's waiting for Lamont to walk down the stairs.
I know there's got to be a basketball hoop because he's going to be like Swish, but he didn't make it. I remember that. But yeah, what was it about, like, the way they've edited this together, about his rough night he just had, that is making him think differently about dating Electra? Those two things don't go together. Yeah, why is it about Electra? Oh, because you're just mashing scenes together because you're more worried about your fast-paced, making a fast-paced action movie than you are about telling a story.
Mm-hmm.
And this is there was one producer at fault with that, and you can tell that Mark Steven Johnson was really upset about it.
Yeah.
We're kind of lucky we ever got to see that.
Yeah, well, and this is a real case of...
Because Fox gave them the money to finish effects on scenes.
This is one of the...
Or maybe they didn't. Because I know some of those aren't completely finished. So I don't know if they got to actually finish any of them or not. I could be wrong about that. I shouldn't say that.
This is one of the few times where, like, we have a film where, like, you hear about how the movie got edited to smithereens.
Yeah.
And we actually got to see it. And it was substantially different.
And Donner is the same.
This is what I want the Suicide Squad cut for.
Yeah.
The Jonah Hex as well. I don't think Jonah Hex is probably a great movie, but it might be like this, where there is a substantially better version. That movie is clearly cut to smithereens.
And wouldn't you love to at least see the script? If nothing else, wouldn't you love to see what scenes got put in different places?
Mm-hmm.
Because if that happened with this, I'm sure a lot of those other movies where you're like, well, you know, this is... I mean, sometimes it's obvious, where you're like, well, this seems kind of incoherent, and it's probably because you decided to represent an idea you had in hindsight with a scene that was shot for a different reason.
Yeah.
So you put it in a different place, and you hope that it kind of tracks. And if it doesn't, and there's plenty of people hitting each other, then it's okay.
And sometimes there's Spectre, where they didn't have a script they were happy with, and they were rewriting it as they were shooting the movie.
Yeah, there's not a good version of that movie.
No. So you can't see it, but like this is so tight to my face. Like there's a little bit of tears right now. It's not because of the movie. It's because of this cloth. Man, Netflix Daredevil nonsense. Myth busted. You wouldn't run around like that. It's so itchy.
Eric, you could loosen it a little bit.
Nope.
Are you having an allergic reaction?
I hope not. We'll find out when I take this off. My face is all puffed up. I hope not. As far as I know, I'm allergic to nothing.
It's, I don't know that that's worth it, really.
Nope. It's for the channel. It's worth it.
So, what do you think of this whole raindrop thing? Is that like...
I like to make references to this when it rains. It's mostly what I get from this. I get
is it too sappy? I
get what they're going for.
Yeah. I mean, when I was a kid, when I was in high school, it was real romantic, I thought.
Yeah, I did too. This movie, much like the director's cut has this too. More so here, it is just all over the place tonally. They do not know the tone of this movie from scene to scene. This scene is really out of tone with other scenes in this movie. In and of itself, it's a nice little scene.
Yeah, it's a little difficult to relate to him because he's a murderer right now.
Yeah.
I think that kind of hurts this a little bit.
Yeah.
It would help if they met more like they do in the comics or something. Or maybe not met that way, but that, like, you know, as he is harder to identify with because he's a murderer, he was dating an assassin.
Well, and she's kind of a travesty in this movie as far as adaptations. Like, yeah. I have major issues with Electra and Netflix. She's in the ballpark of the character.
Yeah.
Like, this has nothing to do with Electra.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be like a proto-Electra, because then, of course, we get a spin-off and she, like, becomes the assassin.
But they can't know that when they make this movie, right?
Well, kind of, sort of, because this is an origin story for her.
Yeah.
And that could have worked, like, if the Electra movie was really good.
It's all
that
backwards.
might have kind of worked.
Like half of this story is supposed to happen when they're in college.
No, I get that. But you know me, I'm not as concerned about adaptation as I am about the story they're telling working.
Which, I mean, it doesn't that way either.
No, it doesn't. Certainly not. But I'm not going to complain about it just because it's different. But also, I haven't read all that stuff, and it's been a long time since I've read any of Miller.
Yeah.
So I don't know the Electra
Well, and it's interesting because Miller actually retcons himself. The first issue of Miller's run is the Electra issue where she's introduced and we get that backstory.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty drastically altered when we get to Man Without Fear. She is the innocent schoolgirl that went bad. When you get to Man Without Fear, she's a wild child. Like, she's not what she is in the Netflix show where she's out and out trying to get Matt to murder people.
Yeah.
But she's not all there either.
Yeah, and this version just has she's just a rich girl that apparently was
bland.
Kind of trained a little bit by her father if you look at the Electra movie, but you know, to be like really disciplined and stuff for some reason.
Yeah, the explanation here is basically the explanation in Mask of Zorro when they sword fight, where she's like, I have had the proper instruction since I was 12.
Yeah.
That's the explanation for. That's why I'm a master martial artist.
But beyond that, like just her motivation and stuff, it's just your typical tragic superhero backstory.
Yep. And Electra's so much more interesting than that.
Yeah, but, you know, an audience isn't going to appreciate, like, nuanced and layered, Eric. We just need people kicking butt and taking names.
We do keep proving that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we are on Transformers Film 5. And I liked 4, but, you know.
But, you know, people are patient with it on television.
It's true. That's true.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
If you ask them to leave their house, you better not ask them to think. But if they stay home...
Well, I mean, except for the CW shows.
Well, yeah.
You know, they're real comparable to this movie.
Yeah, sure.
Arrow's a lot like this movie.
Yeah, and to be fair, I mean, I keep thinking that there's some, like, TV pilotitis going on.
In this
especially
movie?
in this cut.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, like, the way they meet at the coffee shop, and, like, I hate to say this, but Mark Steven Johnson, he feels like a TV director.
Yeah.
And... if memory serves, he was another one of those guys that mostly did music videos before this.
I don't know what he does as a director. I know as a writer he does Grumpy Old Man and Grumpy Old Man.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Well, I like those movies.
It's Jimmy Pants.
Are you talking about Ben Urich?
Yeah.
I like Ben Urich's casting in this.
I do too.
I don't think I've seen him in anything else, but I think he's quite good.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
He's Cypher.
Oh, yeah, I forgot he was Cypher. That's right.
No, he's in a lot of things.
Real different roles. No, I can't... I'm trying to remember if there's anything else I've ever seen him in.
He's in a lot of things. What I like so much about his
Look,
casting...
I know that when I'm looking at it.
Hold on.
Okay,
Hold
but
on.
I forgot.
He's in a lot of things.
Yeah.
But what's so good about this casting, it's not to that level, but it's almost like Gary Oldman as James Gordon, where he's a scumbag in everything.
He's playing against type real hard.
He's really playing against type, and he's really good in this.
So, another thing that really doesn't work in this cut is it's supposed to be super romantic when Matt Murdock goes up the staircase and she's dressed up real nice just for him, even though he can't see her, and they've already slept together. It doesn't work.
It's also...
This needs to be a progression.
Yeah.
Where, like, we're working up to that. This can't be a one-night stand kind of relationship. Or at least I've seen it the other way and it works a lot better. There's
also this thing that happens when Matt goes to talk to her that kind of bugs me.
Yeah.
Where she feels a little too into herself. Like, I understand that this is supposed to be a romantic notion that she got dressed up for him. But she's like, I really wish you could see me. Like, she's real comfortable. Like, she's real proud of herself.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right. She says that.
Yeah.
I wish you could see me tonight.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a fine line there.
That's dicey, isn't it?
It's because it makes her feel like a spoiled rich girl.
Yeah, if she wasn't that already, you could maybe play that better.
It's completely different if she's like...
I don't want to agree with you, but I do.
It's completely different if she's like... If she's Rebecca Romijn in The Punisher, who's like always kind of dressed just real casual and then gets dressed up nice.
That's a really good point.
That's different.
Yeah, if it's like a Cinderella scenario.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I wish you could see me tonight because I never look like this. That's different.
Yeah.
And like anyone would agree, no matter how attractive you think you are, or you don't think you are, that compared to like the rags you're usually wearing, you look amazing.
Yeah. Whereas here it's just like, I'm really hot and I wish you could see how hot I am. It's kind of how it feels.
Yeah, and that's not what's intended.
No.
I'm sure, but... Yeah, boy, you're right about that.
So, we can't see it, but there's a really funny joke.
Yeah, but she's really hot, Eric. We can't see it, but she's quite attractive. And she knows it, apparently.
There's a really funny visual gag with Foggy.
Where he puts his hand on
where they put the hand on the statue. I have always thought that was funny.
I like that, too.
And I bet you they showed up...
He improvised that.
Because this is clearly not a set.
I'm sure.
Like, they probably showed up, and, like, he thought that was funny, and was like, I'm gonna do something with that. Man, this movie's just flying by.
Is he a director yet?
Yes. No, I don't... When does, yes, he's done Elf. And...
Oh, I forgot he directed, and that was this year.
Okay.
Elf is 2003, if memory serves.
Alright, so he does this,
Maybe
and then
02.
he will do Zarathustra, or Nope, that's a Steve thing. The Space Jumanji. That's his other directorial credit before Iron Man.
I wish I could see to look that up. I thought Elf was 2003, but if it is, it has to come right after this.
Mm-hmm.
Or right around this. Because I don't think this is... Is this summer or is this just after summer?
I think it's summer. But but before that, he's a writer. He's written Swingers and Maid. I've not seen Maid, but Swingers is pretty good.
And Frank Miller just died.
Yep. Which is a running thing. He dies in all of his movies. He dies in Sin City. He dies in this. He dies in Spirit. It's a thing. When Frank Miller cameos, he dies. I don't know if it happens in Sin City too.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it does either.
But he might not be in it. When he cameos, he dies. But I'm not sure if... Oh,
and I never really made that connection that Michael Clark Duncan is in Sin City, and he's in this, and this was heavily, influenced by Miller stuff.
Yeah.
Miller's not working on this movie, but that's kind of interesting.
Well, the way Mark Steven Johnson talks about it seems like he's talked to Mark Steven Johnson, and like...
They had a couple of phone calls the way he talks about it, yeah.
Yeah, because he talks about, like, them cutting the nun scene.
And he was upset
and him like,
about that.
You're breaking my heart.
Yeah, that's what I remembered.
Which is from... That's all Born Again stuff.
I don't like that it's in the director's cut either. I think it should have stayed cut. I don't know what's going on in it.
You have to have read Born Again to understand that scene.
And I would rather you totally change everything in adapting than give me material I have to. It's got to be its own piece.
Here it is.
I mean, it's got to stand
Here's
alone.
Man Without Fear as Bullseye's theme song.
Daredevil! Yeah, isn't that ridiculous?
It's
I mean,
never
we even
made
say
sense.
Daredevil. Well, it's not, I mean, I don't want to call it his theme song. That's not fair.
Well, it's this big introduction, I'm so cool, but the I'm so cool is over Bullseye.
Well, yeah, over Bullseye right now, but Daredevil's going to come right in.
Yeah, but I've always thought this was
it's
the
more,
cool song for Bullseye.
Yeah, I get why you're saying that, but what they think they're doing is they're making a big... They've got a big, cool in the middle of your movie fight scene song.
But the problem is this right here, you can't stop me, you can't hurt me, is him on a motorcycle throwing knives at people.
Well, and the problem is it doesn't remotely have anything to do with what's actually going on in the scene.
Yeah.
Because Daredevil is gonna basically... in all the ways that counts, he loses here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really contrived,
so
he loses.
Yeah,
the script
it is.
says
but it's not significant to what's going on here.
I missed. I never miss.
Boy, it's really interesting listening to a completely action-driven movie, Eric.
It really is. This was a great idea.
Never done this before.
I only have great ideas.
Oh, and I remember this kick looking kind of bad the last time I watched it.
Yeah, it does.
We have visual confirmation.
It's because he's got skin. Bulls, they have to animate an entire head.
Yep.
And it looks, and it doesn't.
Well, some of it's just the way they move too. But yeah, it's just the textures and stuff. It looks real artificial. It's exactly the same problem as some of the multiple Agent Smith fight scene in Matrix Reloaded.
Yes.
It's exactly that.
But so anyways, so the nun...
And also with a stick.
Yeah. But so, the thing with the nun is, Matt's mother leaves and becomes a nun, and neither Matt or his dad know what became of her.
Yeah.
And in Born Again, he, goes to a church and meets her and realizes that it's his mom. So that's supposed to be his mom comes to visit him while he's in the hospital for... the eye stuff, and I think that singular shot might be in Man Without Fear as well, but it's like his mom's always watching over him. But it works in Man Without Fear because Born Again was published before it. It never comes back in this. We never explain what that shot is.
Nope. She's just there, and then in the director's cut, we see her a couple more times, and we still don't really explain what we're looking at.
Yeah, no. if you don't know that's Matt's mom, like, it makes no sense.
Yeah, because it could be like in his brain. It could be like a dream or a hallucination. You don't know what you're looking at, and it doesn't help that sometimes in the director's cut we see her when he is like awake and looking at something. If memory serves.
Yeah, I don't think he is. I think he's passed out. But he reaches up and grabs the crotch. I don't know.
Oh, I know what it is. It's confusing because he sometimes has like this almost like detective mode thing.
Yeah.
Where because of the Tazio case in the director's cut, there's a scene where he is like imagining the girl crawling while she's dying, and that just confuses any like kind of surreal imagery that you put in your movie. I want to know what Electra actually saw.
How could she possibly think that Daredevil did it?
I don't get it. Like,
it makes no sense.
It makes no sense in either cut.
In either cut, yep.
She has to come up on that scene and find the stick, and just assume that it must have been him. She can't have seen any of that fight.
And
is it just supposed to be that? No, that's what I'm saying. I mean, like, the only way that would work is if she came upon it later, or better yet, the police are like, here's the one thing that was found at the scene.
Yeah, she can't be at the scene.
She can't be there. It doesn't work.
So I'm not the biggest Evanescence fan, unlike you.
I like him a lot.
But I think this song actually works really well in the scene.
Their last album was quite good. They came a long way from Open Door, which is just unlistenable.
I think
and all over the place. It is totally like this movie all over the place.
I also think of this scene pretty often whenever I see people with umbrellas. I'm like, oh no, I can't see any of these people.
Like, I feel like Smallville did this scene like 15 times.
Yeah.
And also used this song once, which was a real bad move.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just, you can't, especially when they did it. They did it like a year or two after this. You can't do that.
You can't do that.
And if memory serves, I could be wrong about this. I can't remember. I think they did it. I'm almost positive. I think they did it over a standard Clark Lana loft scene. Yeah, which we count on Can I Grip the Freaks because there's a lot of those.
Yeah. What do you mean? There's no place for you now. There are no exits for you that way, Electra.
No exits that way, Electra. I don't know what she's talking about there. I mean, I guess it's just she doesn't have any family left.
Okay, but, like, now she has no reason not to be with Matt. Like,
but I'm depressed.
She has no commitments. She has no...
Yeah, like, how about, I don't know, you like, you guys are cultivating a relationship. How about maybe either help me through this a little bit, or I need some time away. One of those two things.
Yep.
But not like, well, I guess it's supposed to be revenge is going to consume her, so she doesn't want any personal anything in her life. And maybe it's also I don't want any, and we could talk about this, we could bring this to the forefront, but it's probably also I don't want any commitments at all and any personal ties because my dad just got murdered and I don't want anybody else close to me to get murdered.
Right.
While I'm going and trying to get
no
revenge.
Offense, but you're blind. It'd be really easy for someone to murder you.
Yeah, this is the
an ill-placed foot would just take you out.
This is one of the most typical kind of revenge plots with this version, and it's not all that much different in the director's cut, except that for whatever reason, it just really helps that they don't get physical before this happens. For me, for the romance thing, and B, it's stretching it out. I mean, like having the actual story, because there's a whole, I don't even want to say a B-plot. Like, there's a whole plot in here that we don't have right now, and when you put that back in, it doesn't feel like Electra wants revenge on Daredevil is the whole movie.
Yeah.
And it just kind of feels like that here. Like, that's our first plot point in this
version.
And
this is, and we've had this discussion before, there's
Kevin Smith.
Yep.
He's really young
good.
Here. Look how young he is here.
Well, this is actually generally how I see Kevin Smith. In my, like, when I think of Kevin Smith, I think of circa this era.
Yeah.
If not a little bit earlier.
And he was doing a lot of cameos right here.
Yeah,
right
he's
during this period.
He's in a movie called Catch and Release that stars Jennifer Garner that I watched because he was in it, and he's great, and it's a terrible movie. Never, no one should see that movie. And there's a real...
She picked some bad projects, right?
Almost exclusively. There's a real... Like, there's a clearly improvised line in that movie that he may as well have turned to the screen and, like, winked at me. Where, there's, like, a kid misbehaving, he's like, hey, why don't you just do something else? I don't know, read some comic books or something. And, like, it's clearly there as, like, I know my fans are going to come see this movie for some reason because I'm in it. Wink.
Comics.
Yeah.
Look at that reference.
Yep.
We broadly referenced comics.
Yep. But, so we've had this conversation before about, like, changing source material is fine. You just have to be better than the source material, or make it work.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be better. Although sometimes you question, even in a really good movie, like why we change certain things.
Yes.
There's some stuff in Constantine where it's like, I don't know why we changed that, but
yeah.
it works okay.
I want to say it maybe came up on the Most Topic Extravaganza.
I'm such a stickler for looking at a thing as a piece, but obviously, you are so much more into comics than I ever have been.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I love comics. It's one of my favorite mediums, but like you know a lot of that stuff better than I do.
Mm-hmm.
So what ends up happening is you have more investment than I do coming into a lot of these movies, I think.
Mm-hmm. But I want to say it is a Most Topic. I know on video we have to have this discussion about where like somebody asks us like why is it when is it okay to change source material? And one of the things with the Electra thing is we took a really interesting and complex character and we made it a revenge plot. Like, we made something really interesting
combined with a standard love interest.
Yeah, yeah.
So
it's not just bad because it's different. It is bad because it's different, because things that are different are bad. But
no.
It's also, it works, it doesn't work at all, and it's real generic.
Yeah, it's bad for the classic reason that is often bad, which is it's to serve the formula.
Yeah.
It's we took a character and kind of trimmed it down to nothing. I mean, this movie is kind of all atmosphere.
Yeah, especially this version.
This version, yeah. I mean, I can't say the other version is all atmosphere.
No, it coasts on atmosphere, but...
It does. But I mean, this cut, like I said, it is just incoherent. We're not really telling a story.
Mm-hmm.
But then some of the cartoony things almost work better because it feels like it's paced like a cartoon and plotted like one. And by plotted, I mean edited that way.
I cannot believe we're already at this training sequence, which has my favorite stupid movie thing. Well, I say things are my favorite a lot when it's like dumb things.
It's gonna be who cleans up the sand, right?
No,
that was always my thing. Who cleans up the sand?
No, she's a spoiled rich brat. I'm sure there are people that have to do things like this on a daily basis. That is not my issue.
All right.
Did she draw the Daredevil face? Who drew the Daredevil face? It's a really bad drawing, and she intentionally, like, took a crayon to a sandbag and drew his face poorly on it.
Yeah, and what exactly is the point of that, really? Because, like, what do you think you're going to fight, like, a whole bunch of guys?
Yeah, what are the other sandbags representing?
Daredevil, do you think he runs a gang and he's bringing a bunch of his cronies with him? Like, is he the Shredder and these guys are the Foot Clan?
Well, I mean, he's Daredevil and they might be the Hand.
Yeah, but she doesn't know about the Hand.
She does in the comics.
No, I know, but this character doesn't know about the Hand yet. She's going to get resurrected by them and be like, oh, it's the Hand.
Oh, God, I'm going to have to watch that movie.
Yeah.
I have never finished that film. It's so boring.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm referring to it because it's technically in this continuity.
You know,
but
I had this thought earlier where you mentioned it, and I was like, I'm so glad I never have to see that movie. I have to watch that movie. Oh, no. What have we done?
Boy, this is so weird that we're already, you're right, that we're already this far.
Right?
Like I said that...
We're at the first of the 3 climaxes of this film.
Yeah, this is the third act, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, this movie doesn't have a first plot point?
Nope.
Am I right about that?
The first plot point is Electra's dad dies?
Well, no, that's what I said, but it can't be. It's too far into the movie.
Well, that was the joke.
Yeah, exactly. So, does it not have a second act at all? Is it one of those movies? Is that kind of where we're at?
I guess, yeah.
You know what? No.
This sequence is the second act, and the fight with Bullseye is the beginning of the third act.
No, it's Superman. The first act is the origin.
Oh, right.
But the problem is, the first act, the origin bit of this movie, especially in this version, moves at enough of a clip that it doesn't feel like it's really part of the movie. Like, it feels like the movie starts after it. It's a prologue, yeah. And it works okay. Like, I don't have a big problem with it.
It works better as the first act in the director's cut.
Yeah.
Although the director's cut is also a full movie. Mostly.
Yeah, because obviously the big thing it cuts out is Matt Murdock tracking the Kingpin.
So, my big issue with this scene, I feel like we've talked about this, but I'm not sure. Do they just, like, send each other invitations, like, meet me on the roof?
Yeah.
Like, how do they all find each other?
But remember, this is the movie, and I complained about this in the Rewind years and years ago, when, toward the beginning, when Electra sneaks up on him while he's just wandering the streets and goes, I knew I'd find you.
Yep.
So, New York is like 2 buildings.
Yep. Well, and, like, it's already contrived that they find each other.
It's the 89 layout, right?
Yeah,
it's like you have...
it's 4 blocks.
Yeah. You have that church right across from police headquarters.
And there's the Monarch Theater.
The Monarch Theater is right there, yeah. Crime Alley is right across from where they
hold the press conference.
City.
And the Joker shows up.
That's right.
But it's real contrived and convenient that they show up on this rooftop together.
The city feels bigger in 60s Batman. Sorry, this movie.
That they show up on this rooftop together, and then it gets even more absurd when Bullseye shows up. Like, it really feels like they sent out invitations. They all agreed on, like, Google Plus, like,
right.
All right, we're going to be here at this.
Has he been tracking someone, and that's how he gets there when he does, and it's convenient, the timing.
Yeah. There he is. So...
And how's his costume different than his costume was earlier?
And she just stabbed Daredevil.
He wants a bloody costume.
She just stabbed Daredevil with a wound that does not look fatal, and in the reality of this universe, probably isn't that damaging.
Yeah.
And he's going to be out for this whole fight. Like, he's not, like, broken. There is no reason that he has to stand there and watch her die.
It went through the shoulder.
Yeah.
That's a really good point, too. And I guess we do that so that it's supposed to feel a little bit more believable that he can continue to fight at all after that. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't she go for a fatal wound?
Mm-hmm.
If she thinks that he really killed her father, and
because she's going to take the mask off. She wants the killer of her father to look into her eyes when he dies or something like that.
She says that. And so I guess the idea is, I stab you, so I wound you, so you can't really do much of anything, and then I'm going to actually kill you. But if he was a good enough assassin, that's a terrible idea because of what we always say about wounded animals and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not real smart.
And he's going to do this card thing that is straight out of the comics.
Just because it's in the comics. But it doesn't mean anything here.
He uses cards in the comics. It's a thing he kills people with. He'll never kill anyone with a card in this. Well, he throws it across her neck, and it looks like it looks like she gets a paper cut across her neck. Like, I'm sure that's because it's a PG-13 movie, but it looks like she has a paper cut across her neck.
Yeah, and you know, when you're talking about like how totally all over the place this movie is, it doesn't earn its violence, right?
Yeah.
Again, this version specifically, when we got all the story out of it, because, like, I don't know, as cartoony as this movie feels, and in the theater when I was a kid, when I was 18, this did not feel cartoony to me.
Mm-hmm.
But looking back on it now, it's pretty goofy in a lot of places, and so I don't think it quite earns like the sigh through the hand.
Yeah.
That was the thing that made me question whether I should take my sister to it.
Well, and it's funny because...
Who was like 12 or 13 at the time?
Because that's way more violent.
I was less desensitized.
Well, and there's this whole thing about when he runs the side through her and then kisses her, and like, that was too much, but the side through the hand was okay.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
Yeah. I've never understood why that was, like, we had to cut that. Like, because... From my understanding, that is a censorship cut. That's not a plot cut.
Yeah, it was.
And if this movie was made today,
I guess just because it's like supposed to be, perverse and creepy, and that's just going too far. Just the implications of it.
Well, and I mean, Frank Miller's talked about like the metaphor.
But he's an inhuman animal. That's what he would do.
Frank Miller's talked about the metaphor of Electra's death and how it's really like it's obvious what's being said with that death. The kissing really like underlines it. Like this is what we're saying with this. But I was going somewhere with the bullseye thing. I don't remember what I was going to say. It's real hard to keep track of your thoughts when you can't see anything.
I don't know. It's somewhat refreshing because I don't have all these things distracting me that I'm looking at. You just have to know a movie well enough.
And the majority of what I remember about this movie is not here.
Yeah.
I talked about alternate jokes with Foggy Nelson. Oh, there just were no jokes with Foggy Nelson.
She repeats "Stay with me" here, which means a lot more than director's cut.
Yep.
And it feels like a real... Sometimes that feels like a real stilted exchange. Like, it feels like it came out of a movie script.
Yeah.
And this is not a straight-up melodrama.
So,
this version feels like more of one.
How come this helicopter's here?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. At this point, I'm turning my brain off when I'm watching this movie because it doesn't make sense at all.
But we're not watching this movie. We're stuck with just the story of this film.
Oh, I don't mean, like, right now.
Yeah, honestly...
I just mean when I've gone back to
just
it.
listening to this movie...
Yeah.
This movie is like textbook description of Sound and Fury. Like, there's nothing going on here.
Yeah, because you know movies that you could kind of just listen to.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you're like me and you multitask sometimes and you're doing something while you're watching a movie, you have listened to a lot of movies.
Most Kevin Smith films.
Well, anything that's talky.
Yeah,
obviously,
but anything dialogue driven.
But I've watched things that aren't as much that I still feel like I can get quite a bit out of, not always looking at the screen.
Mm.
And there are superhero movies that are somewhat like that.
Yeah. Forever. Batman Forever.
Sure. My shoes are melting! Everyone's always explaining to me what's going on screen.
Wait, I just heard something really dumb.
Yeah?
All we know about Matt Murdock and going to church is that he goes to confessional. Why does he know there's a back door out of it and he tells it to the priest as if the priest doesn't know? Like, it's the standard, like, exchange of, like, there's a back door out here. Go that way, like, for your house? Like, there's a secret way out?
Yeah, but
he tells the priest...
He works there. Or maybe he lives there. Oh, that's hilarious. Or wait, no, doesn't he ask if there's a back door? Yeah, no, you're wrong. He asks. He's like, is there a back door?
I thought he said there's a back door.
No, he says... I mean, he does, but the way he says it's there's a back door out of here, like, right? And then he nods.
I mean, I couldn't see that.
Yeah, but I'm remembering.
I'm just going off the script here.
I'm pretty sure I'm right about that.
I'm just going off the words.
One of the most preposterous things is right here where the bats fly out.
Yep.
I didn't need that. I'm already thinking 89 during the scene.
Well, and this
is just
this organ
is just over a decade after that.
Insane.
Yeah, and sometimes the CG effects with that look really bad.
Like, are there organs like this?
What do you mean?
That a person could stand on? The pipes?
Yeah, I mean, I like that the pipes come out as easily as they do, but...
It seems insanely massive.
No, there are organs that big. Would you believe that I have been to an organ, like, manufacturing place?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, I toured an organ factory when I was a kid.
Oh, that's cool.
It's no longer there. There's not as much demand for that as there used to be, unfortunately.
For some reason.
But yeah, I knew a guy who worked in an organ factory, and I got to tour it.
How come there's cops here?
It was a neat place. Because you asked about the helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
They saw people fighting on a roof, I guess.
Oh.
And so now they've called cops.
Okay.
And I guess the
cops also got a copy of the memo of the meet on the rooftop memo.
Yeah, because there's nothing else going on in the city right now, apparently.
Yeah. I mean, there's like 3 lines about some like kingpin of crime or something. Like that's happening, right?
Yeah. You know, there are some similarities with this scene to the scene in Spider-Man in the burning building.
Yeah. I don't like the...
Because we're throwing stuff and jumping around.
I don't like that he catches that he catches 2 handfuls of like glass.
That is the most profound comparison I have ever
and
made.
throws both of them. Like throwing a stack is dumb. He should have got 1 stack and like did them like you can't see what I'm doing with my hand, but
nobody can hear it. I can just bounce around over there.
Yeah, where he's like doing it like sheet by sheet, throwing it at. That's what they should have done. But no, when he throws both of them, it's just the Spider-Man shot where he's dodging the blade.
Yeah, and it's slow motion like that.
Yeah.
But doesn't it look hilariously manufactured, those shards?
Yeah.
Like, they don't look like broken pieces of glass. They look like somebody made them.
Yeah. Somebody probably did.
Somebody always does.
I don't know if you know how movies are made. But there's this thing called the prop department. And they probably handcrafted each and every one of those for that scene. And we will never know their name.
So it's so silly that Bullseye tells Daredevil that Fisk is the Kingpin.
Yep.
Why would he tell him then? It's that standard, well, you're going to die anyway thing.
Yep.
But then it gets even worse with this cut, because he's like, words out of the Kingpin. How did that happen?
Well, because they're all listening to the conversation in here. See...
Because everybody got the memo. They're all supposed to show up and pay attention.
Well, see, they're talking on top of an organ. And as you know, that's going to amplify the sound. So their conversation is actually being broadcast out really loud.
Oh, well then how come when we cut outside we don't hear like on a big megaphone? Like this conversation
budgetary constraints of a film. But I think visually, they're really telling you, they're really communicating this information to you.
I also remember it's
very Kubrickian in that way.
The effect with his, where we look through his hands doesn't really hold up as well as I remember it.
I can't tell you.
We're a little limited today.
I remember it looking fine.
There's also an edit that they cut here that's in the director's cut where his eyes twitch.
Oh yeah.
When he lands on the car.
So you know, we watched the extended cut of Suicide Squad not too long ago, and we were like,
that was a censorship thing too. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, and we were like, how can you make a movie like this? How can you
this
release
is incoherent. This isn't that far away from that.
This is not that far away from that. This is in the ballpark of Suicide Squad.
Yeah, I hate to agree with you. One thing I do not get. But, like, our standards are higher now.
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
The thing. Because it was exciting just to get to see these characters in costumes.
And these kinds of action scenes.
And this kind of tone for this material. We're expecting...
Oh, this one got away with it better, but, like, coming back to this version, it's like... Oh.
Yeah, you got to be fair about it.
Yeah.
There are questions that are as baffling as Suicide Squad's who the heck shot down that plane.
Yeah.
With this, you have things like, well, first, words out of the Kingpin. At least I've seen the director's cut and I know what we were talking about there initially. I know what these people making this movie were thinking when that line was said. But you got weird things like Daredevil Matt Murdock has gone through a character arc that I do not understand at all.
Yeah.
Where he does the typical, well, I've killed all these other people, but I'm not going to kill the big bad guy, so I can make a big statement about how I'm not the bad guy. When he drops Bullseye, Bullseye could have died and gets real close to death.
Yep.
He's broken nearly every bone in his body, and we're going to see him in the hospital room.
Right.
So, what has changed from there to his trip to see Kingpin? Like, what has changed? What about this conversation?
Cap, I just want to remind you.
Yes.
He's not the bad guy.
Oh, okay. But he's been saying that the whole movie, and he was in denial, and now it's supposed to be true?
Oh, and this fight's super cut down, too.
Yes, it is.
It's like 4 punches. And then water.
It jumps real fast to hit the roof, or the ceiling.
Yeah.
The roof. The water thing is kind of a cool payoff, I think.
I agree. And it's a thing that
feels like he's got some ingenuity too. Like he's...
Well, and it's there from the beginning. Like we see his office. It is set up, and you're not thinking about he's got water all over his room.
He's gonna use that.
Now it's not the kind of extravagance I would normally associate with the Kingpin, but that's a problem with this whole movie is it's way over stylized.
You think?
In specifically like set design, how things look.
You want it to look grittier and
yeah.
more lived in, and a good Daredevil movie should look like the 1990 Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
And of course the TV show nails that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it doesn't look like that.
Yeah.
But it's that gritty. Like it's able to get away with higher production values while still looking like a grittier thing.
Mm-hmm.
The production values don't make it look too stylish.
Yeah.
And polished.
Yeah, this movie should have had a thing like with Star Wars, where like George Lucas actively stopped people from going around and cleaning the set because he wanted it to feel lived in. This movie needs some of that.
Well, he just got his knees broken. I like how Michael Clark Duncan plays that scene, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that looks painful when I'm watching it.
Yeah.
Right now I'm imagining
Although just
how
listening
painful.
to it, it sounds a little acted. I feel like he would be screaming a bit more.
Well, he's a big tough guy, though.
No, he's not.
What do you mean?
Michael Clark Duncan was not a big tough guy.
No. This character.
I know.
We don't know it because we didn't get to see him kill a man with his bare hands at the beginning of the movie, but...
I mean, we assume.
Sure, yeah.
Because it's big and imposing.
I mean, Michael Clark Duncan was a big guy. He was imposing.
I know,
he
but...
just wasn't a tough guy.
Yeah, if you ever listen to him in interviews, it's real funny, the contrast between, like, his personality and the kind of characters he tends to play.
Was he like... Because I don't think I've ever really listened too much to him talk. Like, was he kind of like the consummate big teddy bear type? Like,
Yes. If, like, the character that he plays when he's playing comedic, or like he's almost playing against type, that's much closer to who the actual guy was. There's a great picture of him on a roller coaster because he was terrified of roller coasters, and he just looks scared out of his mind, and it's really funny.
So I'm thinking of things like, I mean, I guess this was his first real role, but like the role he played in Armageddon.
Yeah. Affleck's in that too.
Yeah. That might have had something to do with why he was thought of in this, because it's only 5 years after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is kids playing with action figures, man.
Yeah.
Word's out on the Kingpin. The cops are coming. Here they come. Let's all fight on a roof.
Yeah, you tell him you got beat by a blind man. I'll get out. No, you're not gonna get out. Yeah, I will. I'll get out.
Okay, well, I'll be waiting for you when you get out. What kind of kids are we? Man. Our parents did not feed us enough Wheaties, or they were taking something, they were drinking something, or like our mom was drinking something she wasn't supposed to be drinking.
It's real sequel.
We were in the womb. I don't know. Yeah, it is.
And it is surprising this does not get a sequel. I don't remember this film being like.
It seemed pretty successful at the time. I mean, I haven't gone back and looked to see what its take was versus what they.
And
what
I felt like everyone I knew saw this movie.
Yeah. It was kind of a big deal that a lesser-known comic character got a movie this early.
Yeah.
Because it felt like, oh, Spider-Man was popular and worked. So.
And like later on, like people go back and like this gets talked about as like one of the worst superhero movies. Like a lot of people put it on that list, and I assume those people haven't seen the director's cut. But like at the time, I didn't know anybody talking like that. I know it didn't get like great reviews, but like just general public buzz, I feel like people like
yeah, and
this
this
movie.
is, of course, pre what the internet is now. People weren't looking at internet reviews and stuff the way they do now. So, like, the professional criticism, or just criticism in general, was always back then, real separate from what the street talk about it was.
Right, right.
And yeah, I don't remember anybody, and people just in general weren't as critical as we are now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're so critical that we're just listening to this movie complaining about it.
Yep. So, are we blindfolding the whole credits?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not gonna watch anything because like, I mean, I would assume that Matt Murdock would just get up and leave unless he was just really enjoying the music.
Yeah.
I would figure.
Yeah. Yeah, and that Fight Club joke is not in this. It must be in the director's cut.
Yeah, it's in the director's cut. One of my favorite Foggy Nelson jokes in this movie is nachos. Sounds like a Mexican appetizer.
Yeah. So, did he set out to save the city? Was that part of his character?
With Electra's help, I saved myself instead. I don't understand how that happened.
And how did Electra help?
Would somebody explain this character arc to me? I don't. How did she save him from himself? How did she help him not become the bad guy? I don't understand that. Was it just, revenge isn't the way, Electra, and since I just told you that, I should try not to be that way myself. Is that all it is?
Well, and I hate that he finds that Braille necklace. Like, that's also kind of sequel baity, but also impossible and is not explained in Electra.
Yeah, it's not. Especially because, I mean, I don't understand the timeline. Like, how long has it been? Because she would have had to have been brought back to life by then.
Mm-hmm.
And it really feels like, I mean, if this all happens in order, then he found that necklace before. I know, I hate it too. He found that necklace before Urich writes the article?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, did she get brought back to life 24 hours later? Well, I mean, I guess she kind of did, because we know in Electra, I think they grab her from the gurney in the ambulance. I can't remember.
He hits delete, and it just...
I know, that drives me insane.
Like, letter by letter, just that's not how that works!
No, and is he just, he's not holding it down, he doesn't hit it a bunch of times?
No, he just hits it and, walks away. And this is one of those
Why
things...
wouldn't you just highlight it? Well, he doesn't walk away. He's staring at it while the letters are disappearing.
Well, and this is one of those things where, okay, to get that effect, someone had to hold that keyboard. That's not how that works.
Yeah, so, why would you shoot it like that?
And this shot...
And what does he just, want to, watch it disappearing? Why wouldn't you just highlight it and disappear it?
And this shot, the ending shot where he's like, I'm a guardian devil or whatever, that's 90% of Daredevil comics covers in the 2000s.
Yeah, that's right.
It's all him leaping off rooftops and doing Spider-Man poses.
And he's got a big and he's got a big cord in front of him with the end of the billy club.
Yep.
Dude, all the time. Okay, so can I ask you this question?
Yes.
What is the point of his having, and again, this is kind of cartoony, and I always like the prop, but what is the point of his having a walking cane that turns into the billy club? Is that so that if he has to become Daredevil in the middle of the day when he's just out having a latte?
But he has all his equipment in his...
He's not wearing it underneath. What is he going to do with that?
So he doesn't have to find more things in his apartment?
I think the real reason is so that Ben Urich would have a clue.
Yeah. To
figure out that he's Daredevil. I think that's the real reason.
Well...
Which, by the way, is a thing that also pays off way better than Retro Scott. But
in the comics,
it's been reserved.
That is what it is. But it's, if I remember correctly, it's...
Do we do that in the comics?
Yeah.
That it's a walking cane that turns... I didn't know that.
Yes.
I thought this movie made that up.
No. It separates in the middle. And has the cord between the two sides.
But I didn't think it also turned into a walking stick.
Yes. It is his cane.
Oh, okay. And then this is the mid-credit scene.
Which I didn't know existed for a really long time.
With the fly. And this is actually in the director's cut in the movie. And we also see Kingpin hilariously... Oh, wait, no. I was going to say they're next to each other. They can't be, because of course he's in the hospital. Mm-hmm. But they show him in the prison. And then they show this, and honestly, it kind of works better as a mid-credit scene, I have to say.
Well,
it was a weird, because in the director's cut, they put a voiceover over it. It's weird.
One of the things that I think is interesting about this,
that's also a sequel, baby,
and a little disappointing that doesn't get a sequel, is this is one of the few superhero movies at this point in time where we don't kill either of the villains.
Yeah, that's right. We got away from that. And it's not your typical villain team up because one hires the other one.
Yep.
That works okay.
Yeah.
Especially because Bullseye isn't really a character.
Yeah. And he's in this cut less than I didn't realize. He's barely in this movie. I remember there used to be this commercial for Walmart, and it jumped around like a couple of different people like talking about like products and like I think it was specifically movies, and there's this one guy who just goes Electra. That's not a name you're gonna forget. And, like it shows like a quick clip of Daredevil. Like they were just pushing like current product. I don't know. It's the thing I remember about this movie.
That's funny. I didn't know anything about Electra before this movie came out, which I think is part of the reason that I wasn't disappointed with how she was handled, because I just didn't know that character at all. And I don't even know if I had heard of her. I mean, I knew very little about Daredevil.
I don't before this movie.
And I expected, because, I mean, you can laugh at me if you want to, Eric, but, like, I'm thinking about comic names I've heard. I expected she had electric powers.
I definitely don't know.
Doesn't that sound like a female supervillain name?
It does. Well, and they make that joke in Clone Conspiracy.
She'd be going around zapping people. Oh, really?
Yeah, with that female Electro. They're like, what do I call you, Electra?
I don't remember that. That's in there?
Yeah, it's in there.
Okay, I'm not a big Slot fan, but that's pretty great.
But it's also a joke in Ultimate Spider-Man. Nope. Slot doesn't get credit for that. Bendis did that joke in the second arc of Ultimate Spider-Man.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Why
I don't know why you referenced that first then.
It's reversed. He keeps saying he's Electro, and everyone keeps mispronouncing it and calling him Electra.
Okay. That's weird.
And then Electra shows up later. But I was gonna say something. Oh yeah, no. This is when I watched the '90s Spider-Man cartoon. I was always
I'm just listening to this album.
Really taken with the Daredevil episodes.
Yeah. I love their voice for Matt Murdock.
Yeah,
he is great.
And then
I wish he had gotten a show. Well, I mean, it would have been kind of weird trying to do that material on Fox Kids. But...
Yeah. Well, and if it was like the other Fox Kids shows, we would have done like all that '90s stuff, like Fall from Grace and stuff like that.
Nah, Fall from Grace was after that.
I thought Fall from Grace was like 93, 94.
Isn't that like 99, 2000?
No. 99, 2000 is Guardian Devil. Fall from Grace is mid-90s because he gets that dumb armor costume.
Oh, is that in that? Okay,
yeah.
Okay. I've only seen covers for that. I haven't actually... Man, Daredevil is one of those characters I own a lot of and have not read nearly enough of.
So I don't really know Daredevil when this movie comes out, and there's a point where I decide I don't like Daredevil because I've read like a couple of sparse things here and there, and I want to say I read Underboss or Out, one of the Bendis trades, and I read Bullseye versus Daredevil, which is just a collection of like random like Bullseye Daredevil issues, and I'm convinced that Daredevil is too powerful, and all we ever do with Daredevil, like just the specific things I read, we just constantly have to screw with his powers so his senses are messed up so that he can't like be at full potential. I'm like, he's too powerful, and so the only stories we ever tell with Daredevil is that his senses are his superpowers messed up. I've obviously grown and changed from that point.
Have we ever done a Daredevil story where he gets his sight back?
Superior Iron Man.
Really?
Oh yeah. Because he has that.
We did it that recently. I want to read that now. And you said that was really good.
The first arc is really good. The second arc is we are clocking time until Secret Wars.
Yeah.
But no, because Tony shows up and he has that Extremis app that lets everybody remake themselves to be whatever they want.
Mm-hmm.
And Daredevil shows up to stop Tony, and he goes, "Oh, okay." And he like presses a button and gives Matt Murdock his sight back.
Well, I think that's it.
I think so.
I think we're back to the menu.
I think we are. So can we take these off?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh God, it's so bright. Oh my God.
It's not that bad. It is pretty bright. Wow. Okay,
Oh
everybody.
man.
Thanks for watching, folks. Hope you enjoyed
I might
it.
be blind now.
That was a really interesting experiment. I actually really enjoyed that.
Yeah, no, it was
fun.
I also don't feel like I missed much of this movie.
No, me neither. But
not that there's a lot to grab onto in this movie.
Obviously, I knew it was. This is going to feel real super truncated, and I don't go back to this version.
Yeah. Why would you?
Yeah, but it really did feel like an enormous jump between her dad dying and the third act.
Yeah.
I was like, I knew what was gutted, but that was still jarring, even just listening to it.
Yep.
Yeah, anyway.
So that was that.
Well, folks, thanks for watching. Sure appreciate it. We will see you again tomorrow for the next one, and I don't right away know what the next movie is.
Spider-Man 2?
Is it Spider-Man 2, or is there even another one in there? We can look it up real quick. Let me check, just because I'm curious. We should have done this before we recorded.
Yeah. Oh, it might be Hulk.
I think it is, because that's 03 too. Daredevil. Oh, you know what?
Daredevil came out before.
We did
X2.
Daredevil and X2 backwards.
Oh.
Oops.
The Hulk is next. And then Punisher.
Hulk is next. Yeah, I don't know how we accidentally did that.
Yeah, I don't know.
But that's all right. Okay, well, we made one gaffe then.
Oh, you know what? I think Daredevil's a March movie. Like we were talking about this summer. I think it's a March movie.
Yeah. That makes a lot more sense.
Yep.
In my brain, because I was working in a movie theater. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
My personal timeline is worked out again. Anyway, well, okay, so we got those backwards, but we will.
We're sorry.
We'll keep better
we
track
won't do
of
it
it
again. We'll do better next time. You can't just you can't just cancel us. You gotta give us a second chance.
We're not gonna cancel ourselves over it. Honestly, is what I've decided. Thanks again for watching, folks. We sure appreciate it, and we'll see you again tomorrow. I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
See you, folks. See you.
I'm not the bad guy.
Me neither. I'm also not the bad guy. I think I'm winning a lot.
I'm in the next room.